Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this video we are going to discuss an important topic, that is tillage, or in layman's terms or simple language, ploughing. So this is an operation that is done to prepare the field so that sowing can be done. Okay, so tillage, or in common language we call it ploughing. So this is an important topic because previously question has appeared in the prelims examination regarding zero tillage. So that is a modern concept of tillage. Now, before going for zero tillage, you will not be able to appreciate zero tillage, the topic. You will not be able to understand the concept properly if we directly go to zero tillage without understanding what is tillage and what is conventional tillage. So once we understand conventional tillage, what is tillage, why tillage is done, or why ploughing is done, once you understand that, then you will be properly able to understand what is zero tillage or what is conservation tillage. All right, so first let us discuss what is tillage, conventional tillage, then we will move on to the zero tillage and conservation tillage topic. Okay, so we'll start with the PYQ. So this question was asked previously in the prelims examination. So here the question is regarding the advantages of zero tillage. So if you understand the topic zero tillage properly, then you will be able to answer this question. So first let us look at this question, what they have asked. So what are the advantages, what is or are the advantage or advantages of zero tillage in agriculture? So sowing of wheat is possible without burning the residue of the previous crop. So this is the first option. Now this is also a problem which is causing, this stubble burning is causing pollution problem in uh, the national capital territory, so Delhi and the surrounding regions. So here in every winter, late in the November, so there is stubble burning problem. So stubble burning from Punjab, Haryana, and parts of Uttar Pradesh, the farmers, because they have to sow the wheat timely, so they have to get rid of this stubble, so they go for burning the stubble, which is the fastest way to remove the stubble. But because of that, pollution problem is there. So this is one of the advantage. So whether this is true or not, we will discuss at the end. So once we complete the topic of zero tillage, then you will be able to answer this, right? So I'm not answering this question, just I'm going through the options. Second option is without the need of nursery of rice saplings, seedlings, direct planting of paddy seeds in wet soil is possible. So that is the second option. And third option is carbon sequestration in the soil is possible. So these are the three options. Which among these are true? Which of these are advantages of zero tillage? So such question has been asked. So zero tillage may, there are other ways to ask the question. Okay, so first we will understand the topic, then we will come back to this PYQ later. Okay, so this is the PYQ from the prelims. So what we are going to discuss, so this whole topic will be divided into two videos. So in the first video we'll discuss what is tillage. So we'll be covering what is tillage and primary and secondary tillage. So this is conventional tillage, this is part of conventional tillage. और what is done during the ploughing. So ploughing में हम लोग we do it twice or even more than that also. So primary and secondary tillage. So this is part of conventional tillage. So in the first video we will discuss this part. So what is tillage and primary and secondary tillage, which is part of conventional tillage. In the second video we will discuss conservation tillage, where we will be discussing minimum tillage and zero tillage. So this is the modern concept of tillage. So conservation tillage, okay, minimum tillage and zero tillage both are part of conservation tillage. Now Remember this, especially those students from non-agricultural background. So conservation, whenever you see this particular term conservation, कंजर्वेशन एग्रीकल्चर, सॉइल कंजर्वेशन, कंजर्वेशन जब भी देखते हो हम लोग, सो कंजर्वेशन एग्रीकल्चर, फॉर एग्जांपल कंजर्वेशन एग्रीकल्चर, so remember one thing, so whenever we use the term conservation in agriculture, it means we are trying to conserve the two most important resources which are required for cultivation. So what are the two most important resources which are required for agriculture production or cultivation? Soil, and the second one is water. So all those cultivation practices which conserve soil, which prevent erosion, okay, or which minimizes the water usage, or which absorbs the rainwater and reduces the runoff. So all those practices, koi bhi practice ho which conserves soil and water, it is part of conservation agriculture. Okay, so we are trying to conservation agriculture में क्या conserve कर रहे हैं? What are you conserving? We are trying to conserve soil and water, which are the two most important resources for cultivation. Okay, so any practice which enhances soil fertility or improves soil health, it is a part of conservation agriculture. Any practice which reduces the water usage or which conserves water, which minimizes the wastage, is a part of conservation agriculture. All right. So we'll divide this whole topic into two videos. So in the first video, this video, we'll be discussing what is tillage and what is conventional tillage, primary and secondary tillage. Once you understand that, then you will be able to properly appreciate the topic of zero tillage, because we will compare. When we say advantages of zero tillage, compare to what? Advantages हैं, किसके साथ compare कर रहे हो? So we are comparing it with conventional tillage. So you have to understand what is conventional tillage, why it is done, then we will move on to zero tillage. All right, so we'll start with tillage, or in simple language, ploughing, और इसको बोल सकते हैं हम लोग field preparation. Sorry, you are preparing the field for sowing, for the crop production. So ploughing in simple language or layman's terms, tillage is a technical term. Okay, tillage. So this tillage word is derived from Anglo-Saxon words Titian or tooling. So Anglo-Saxon, it is Old English. So Germanic tribes who have um, uh, established themselves or who started living in England. So Germanic tribes, वो ओल्ड इंग्लिश की बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग. सो एंग्लो सैक्सन आफ्टर 5th century. So old English, this tillage term is derived from Titian or tooling, which means to plow and prepare soil for good seed to sow, to cultivate and raise the crop. So you are preparing the field, you are manipulating the soil so that sowing can take place. Okay, you are preparing the land so that you can sow and grow the crop. That is the meaning of tillage. So let us see the meaning. You can see the second paragraph. Tillage is the mechanical manipulation of the soil. So ploughing या tillage is mechanical manipulation of soil. So we use mechanical tools. Plough हम लोग use करते हैं. Okay, so we can use the plough which is dragged or which is dragged by the bulls, or you can have a tractor mounted moldboard plough or disc plough. So mechanical manipulation, you are using instruments to manipulate the soil, mechanically manipulate the soil for obtaining conditions ideal for seed germination, seedling establishment and growth of crops. So basically what you are doing, you are mechanically manipulating the soil. You are digging up the soil and turning it upside down. Ploughing में क्या करते हैं, खोदते हैं और उसको upside down turn कर देते हैं. So that is mechanical manipulation of the soil. So this is the technical definition of tillage. All right, now why we are doing this, क्यों कर रहे हैं हम लोग ऐसा? See, when you have already harvested a crop, एक crop आपने harvest कर लिया है, so after harvesting, so during the crop production what happens is the laborers they move on the soil for weeding or harvesting exercise, or you are moving, the farmer is moving throughout the field for fertilizer application or for spraying, or a tractor or a vehicle has been used for harvesting. So all these practices, they make the soil hard and compact. Soil थोड़ा hard बन जाता है, compact बन जाता है, or even after rain also. So after the rain the soil will become compact. So all these activities during the crop production where people are moving in the field for harvesting or for weeding or for fertilizer application or pesticide application, or vehicle is moving for harvesting, all these operations make the soil hard. So once you harvest, after that the soil will remain hard, the surface is hard. So next time when you are sowing, you cannot sow directly because the seeds, they cannot be sown on hard soil. So you have to make the soil loose, friable, soft again, so that you can sow. Okay, so this operation is done for sowing, ताकि आप easily sow कर सको, and the seed that has been sown, it can easily absorb the moisture and it can germinate. Seedlings can easily emerge out of the soil. अगर soil बहुत hard है तो seedling बाहर नहीं निकल पाएगा. Seedling is very tender, very soft in the initial stages, so it cannot easily come out if the soil is very hard. So we have to make the soil loose, friable, okay, soft, so that seedling can easily emerge, roots can penetrate deeply, okay, and sowing activity can be done, so that after sowing seeds can easily germinate and a proper crop will be established. So that is the purpose of tillage. We go for ploughing to make the soil loose, friable, so that we can sow easily, and the seeds that are sown, they can absorb the moisture, they can germinate easily and come out. Okay, so this condition of the soil, after you do the ploughing, after tillage operation has been done, the condition of the soil is called the tilth. अब जो soil जिस condition में, उसको बोलते हैं tilth. So proper tilth is required for easy germination. So tilth, what is tilth? Tilth is the good physical condition of the soil after tillage in relation to the plant growth. So tillage operation करने के बाद, ploughing करने के बाद जो soil का condition होता है, loose, friable, soft soil, that stage or that condition of the soil is called tilth. So proper tilth is required for easy sowing and germination of the seeds. Now I think you have understood the meaning of tillage. Now this tillage operation is done in stages. So primary tillage and secondary tillage. So first we will discuss what is primary tillage. So primary tillage क्या होता है? Initial tillage, शुरुआत में जो आप कर रहे हो, hard soil, the hard soil has to be broken and it has to be opened up. जो hard soil है तुम्हारा, it has to be opened up. So that initial tillage operation is called as primary tillage. That hard soil has to be opened up using the plow. So tillage operation, which constitutes initial measure of soil working operation. So initially जो तुम soil को work कर रहे हो, the starting stage, that is called as primary tillage. It is normally designed to reduce the soil strength. Soil का जो toughness है, hardness है, उसको reduce कर देता है. Soil को open up कर रहे हो तुम, hard soil को open up कर रहे हो initial stages में. So the initial opening up of the soil to reduce the soil strength and to cover the plant material. So when you are ploughing, the soil is turned upside down. जो ऊपर वाला part है, so यहाँ पे stubbles हैं, all these stubbles are there. So you dig this up, this part, and this is turned upside down. Okay, ये उल्टा हो जाता है. So when you are plowing, soil is turned upside down. Okay, so the plant material that is on the surface, it will be buried under the soil. So plant material जो ऊपर है surface पे, वो bury हो जाता है नीचे, दब जाता है, क्योंकि ऊपर से तुमने उल्टा दिया है soil को. So you have turned the soil upside down. So the surface vegetation, what is there, weeds और जो भी तुम्हारा plant residue है, it will be turned upside down. It will be buried. Okay, so designed to loosen the soil, to reduce the strength of the soil, to cover the plant material. When you turn the soil upside down, the plant material will be buried, it will be slowly decomposed, and rearrange aggregates, and mainly for seed bed preparation. So you are opening up of the soil, turning the soil upside down, and you are rearranging the aggregates. So ये जो बड़े बड़े chunks form होते हैं when you first open up the soil, these are called as clods. Okay, so you are manipulating the soil for the first time, you are plowing the soil for the first time, you are opening the soil, and during that opening all these things happen. So this is primary tillage. शुरुआत में जो तुम कर रहे हो, the main aim is to break open the soil, breaking, opening and turning the soil upside down. Soil को खोद के, when you dig up the soil, it will become loose and you turn the soil upside down. So primary tillage के लिए कौन से implements use करते हैं? So we use MB plow, mold board plow. So mold board plow, ridge plow, disc plow. So these are the different types of plows. Commonly हम लोग disc plow या MB plow use करते हैं. Okay, so I will show you the diagram. So this is how your MB plow, mold board plow looks like. So this is the part which actually is used for manipulating the soil. Let me enlarge it so that you can see. So now you can see this part. So initially ये वाला part जो है ना, ये soil के अंदर जाता है. So it will dig the soil, and the soil, when it is, the tractor के पीछे ये mounted होता है, when the tractor is moving forward, this will also move forward, and the soil, it will move along this plow. ये जो surface है ये curved होता है, this is slightly curved, and this soil which is moving backwards, it will curve, and this curvature of the MB plow, it will turn the soil upside down. ये जो curvature है इसकी वजह से वो उलट जाता है. I think now you have understood. This is your disc plow, and there are other implements, plows for special purposes. So you have chisel plow. Now this is for subsoiling. I mean, you can say hard, for breaking the hard pans. So hard pans are in the subsoil, B horizon. So sometimes there is formation of an impervious layer, so which will not allow the water to penetrate deeper. Okay, so to break that hard pan, we use chisel plow. So there are certain implements for special purposes, but commonly जो हम लोग use करते हैं, that is MB plow or disc plow. So for primary tillage, so that will be enough. Now once you are done with the primary tillage के बाद तुम्हारा field कुछ ऐसा दिखता है. So you see large chunks of soil, so these are called as clod. इनको हम लोग clods बोलते हैं. So because some moisture is present in the soil, वो moisture की वजह से soil will form aggregate, चिपका रहता है soil, and these large chunks are formed. These are called as clods. Okay, so this is your MB plow. So they're using MB plow. यहाँ पर disc plow use हो रहा है. So you can see large discs. So यहाँ पर disc plow use कर रहे हैं. So this is how your soil looks after the primary tillage. अब ऐसे soil में तुम sowing नहीं कर सकते हो. So what happens if you go for sowing in such soil? अब large clods हैं, ऐसे large clods हैं, इनके बीच में कहीं पे तुम्हारा seed गिरा है. Suppose seed का sowing अगर तुम करोगे, if you go for sowing of seed, so this is the seed here, you have sown the seed. Now you see seed का बहुत कम surface है जो soil के साथ contact में है. A very little surface, very minor surface is in contact with the soil. So let me use another color. So here you see सिर्फ ये वाला पार्ट और ये वाला पार्ट जो है, ओनली दिस पार्ट एंड दिस पार्ट इट इज इन कॉन्टैक्ट विद द सॉइल. सो सीड जर्मिनेशन के टाइम पे क्या होता है, the first stage of seed germination is absorption of moisture. So you might have tried this at home also. Sprouts, घर में तुमने चने या फिर कोई भी दाल अगर तुम if you soak them in the water and put them in the handkerchief, you can see them sprouting. So germination is happening. So first stage in seed germination is absorption of moisture. So soil में जब तुम seed डालते हो, when you are putting the seeds in the soil, sowing, after sowing, where does this moisture come from for seed to germinate? Seed को germinate होने के लिए moisture absorb कर रहा है ना पहले. So ये moisture कहाँ से आ रहा है? So you see here very little surface is in contact with the soil here. वो जो green color का dot मैंने बनाया है white seed के ऊपर. So the moisture comes from the soil. So seed absorbs moisture from the soil, then it will germinate. So here when it is coming in contact with the soil, when after the primary tillage, there are huge clods, bade bade chunks हैं soil के. So when you sow, only a very little surface of the seed will come in contact with the soil and it will absorb moisture only from that part जहाँ से contact में. So and after germination also, seed has to move through these large chunks to come out. Seedling को बाहर निकलने में दिक्कत होगी. So seedlings, they cannot easily emerge. They cannot push these clods and come out easily. So seed germination will be a problem if the field is left after primary tillage. So primary tillage, after it is done, you see large chunks. So we have to break these chunks into smaller parts. Soil को थोड़ा loose बनाना है हमको, ये बड़े बड़े chunks को तोड़ना होता है. So after primary tillage, the field is left with large clods. So secondary tillage is done. Once more we go for ploughing with a different kind of implements. So we have secondary tillage implements. We use them to break these clods and turn the soil soft and friable. So secondary tillage is needed after primary tillage. We cannot leave the field like this. So secondary tillage is done to break these clods into smaller pieces so that the soil can be made loose and friable. Okay, so that we can go for sowing operation. Now, so secondary tillage is done after primary tillage, and secondary tillage operation breaks the clods. So it is done following the primary tillage to create a good seed bed so that seeds can easily germinate and seedlings can easily emerge. So clods को break करके हम लोग soil को थोड़ा सा loose and friable बनाते हैं. Now after secondary tillage, the soil is at proper tilth. Now the condition is proper. So here, now when you sow the seed, so this is your seed and soil is broken down. These clods are broken down. Now the soil aggregates. They are more in contact with the seed. अब seed के contact में ज़्यादा soil है, तो seed surface is in contact with more soil, so it can absorb moisture readily, and the soil is also loose so that when the seed germinates, the seedling can easily emerge. So secondary tillage is done to break the clods which are left after primary tillage. Now what are the implements that we use for secondary tillage? So secondary tillage implements are cultivators, harrows, hoe, flanker, rollers. So to prepare the field, generally harrows हम लोग use करते हैं, cultivators और harrows. So these are spring harrow या tine harrow, they are commonly used. So secondary tillage implements, here we have disc harrow. So these are to break those. ये disc plow में ना disc बड़ा होता है, the diameter of the disc is larger. Okay, thickness भी ज़्यादा होता है उसका. Harrow जो है, disc harrow, disc plow is having larger diameter disc and it is also thick. Even in case of your disc harrow, the diameter is smaller. Okay, so disc harrow, or you have, sorry, spring tooth harrow or spike tooth harrow. So this is spike tooth harrow, spring tooth harrow, and this is disc harrow. So they are used to break the clods and to make the soil more soft, more friable, more loose. Now after secondary tillage, the seed bed preparation will be over. Now the soil is ready for sowing. Okay. Now, so primary and secondary tillage, they are part of conventional tillage. So conventional tillage बोलते हैं इसको. The normal tillage operation में we have first primary tillage and then we go for secondary, so that seed bed preparation will be over. Now what are the objectives, क्यों हम लोग tillage कर रहे हैं? So I have discussed that previously. Now we'll just go through it. So adequate soil aeration for gaseous exchange in the seed and the root zone. So even for seed germination, initial जो stages है germination का, that will be anaerobic. So anaerobic processes will continue in the initial stages, but in the later stages of seed germination, the aerobic process will take over. So तुम्हारा oxidation, oxygen will be required because of your TCA cycle will be going through, going on in the seed. So second, later stages में oxygen will be required for the seed germination. Initial stages में anaerobic respiration will continue, but in the later stages of seed germination, aerobic respiration will continue. Okay. So seed को germination के लिए भी oxygen चाहिए. Roots, so seedlings, they will also require oxygen in the root zone. So if the soil is very hard, seed germination and the seedling growth will be hampered. So इसीलिए for proper seed germination and proper seedling growth, for proper crop establishment, we need to make the soil loose, friable, easily workable. Okay. Then adequate seed and soil contact is necessary so that seed can absorb moisture faster and seedling can easily germinate. And also if the soil is loose, the radical part, so seed mein, when the seed germinates, we have plumule and radicle. So radicle is the primordial, or you can say initial root. So radicle will move downwards, and plumule, which is your primordial, you can say stem. So radicle will develop into root. So ये जो तुम्हारा radical है, the root, it needs to penetrate. So soil अगर hard होगा तो penetrate कैसे करेगा? So if the soil is soft, these tender parts of the seedling, plumule and radicle, they are very soft and tender. They can easily penetrate if the soil is loose. So a non-crust soil contact to permit seedling. So if there is hard surface, so crust generally develops especially in the red soil after the rain. बारिश होने के बाद red soil के ऊपर तुम चलोगे ना, your foot impression will be formed. So crust formation is there in certain soils. So if the soil is hard and there is a crust, seedlings will not be able to emerge. So to break that crust, a low density soil, if the soil is loose, density is less, so soil will become more denser after the cultural operation. So after the harvesting of the crop, soil will be very compact, very dense, so you have to make it loose again. So that is one of the purpose. Mixing the applied manures and fertilizers, so you will apply manure and you have to mix the manure. So this mixing of the manure is done during the tillage operation. Ploughing करते समय ही तुम्हारा fertilizer initial dosage जो है, और the FIM, farmyard manure, whatever you are applying, that will be mixed with the soil during the ploughing or tillage operation. So that is also done with tillage. Then, so removing the hard pan. So sometimes there is a impervious layer in the B horizon. So soil में if you go to certain depth, 50 centimeter, 60 centimeter के depth में जाओगे तो sometimes there is formation of hard impermeable layer. So this hard pan will not allow the water to percolate and go down. So उससे तुम्हारा runoff ज़्यादा आता है, सो सॉइल एरोजन का होने का चांसेस ज़्यादा होता है. सो water has to infiltrate into the soil and percolate to reach the groundwater table. If the hard pan is there, the water will not move down, and rest of the water that is left on the surface will go as runoff, leading to erosion and soil loss. So hard pans sometimes you have to remove. So if they are there, they have to be removed by using chisel plow. Special implements aate hain. Now the aim of tillage is to produce a good soil condition or tilth. Soil के condition को बोल रहे हैं tilth. Tilth is the condition of the soil after ploughing is done. So that good condition is required for proper germination and seedling emergence. Okay. Now what is a seed bed? ये सारा जो भी तुम ploughing कर रहे हो, it is basically for preparing the seed bed. So a soil with proper tilth is ready for sowing. So a proper seed bed prepare करने के लिए तुम soil को manipulate कर रहे हो. This process of manipulation of the soil is called as tillage. So when soil is brought to such a condition ideal for the crop growth, then it is called as a good seed bed. So seed bed is a good condition of the soil which is ready for the sowing. So tilth, एक soil जो proper tilth condition में है उसको हम लोग seed bed बोलते हैं. So this all tillage operation is done to prepare a proper seed bed so that you can go for sowing. So ideal seed bed कैसा होता है? So the ideal seed bed is the soil which has, in which porosity of the mineral solid matter provides an optimum balance between water holding and freely drained. An optimum balance appears to be the one in which capillary pores are in equal proportion. Now what does this mean? So soil, if you see soil में main components of the soil, what are the main components? So soil में first component is mineral matter. Okay, so it is around 45%. एक एवरेज हम लोग ले रहे हैं मिनरल मैटर. अगर तुम सैंडी सॉइल में ले जाओगे, इफ यू गो टू डेजर्ट, द मिनरल मैटर कॉन्स्टिट्यूट्स हायर परसेंटेज, सो उसका परसेंटेज ज्यादा होगा. देन वी हैव ऑर्गेनिक मैटर which is around 0 to 5%. In forest soils the organic matter is higher. In peat soils the organic matter can go up to 30 to 40% also. But जनरली इन एरेबल सॉइल्स, जो कल्टिवेटेड सॉइल्स हैं, वहां पर तुम्हारा ऑर्गेनिक मैटर 0 to 5% के बीच में होता है. देन वी हैव सॉइल एयर 25% and soil water or soil moisture the other 25%. So generally this is you can say average composition of the soil. Now soil air and soil water, they are present in the soil pores. So the gap between the mineral matter and organic matter, जो भी तुम्हारा soil के अंदर particles हैं उनके बीच में जो gap है, that is called as porosity. Okay, so we have two kinds of pores: macro pores where the diameter is larger, and you have micro pores. Okay, so soil porosity can be divided into macro pores and micro pores. So macro pores contain air and micropores contain water. So a good seed bed is one where you have both air and water, right? सिर्फ air है तो moisture नहीं है. Without moisture seeds will not germinate. And if it is suppose soil is saturated with water, पूरा पानी से भरा हुआ है, तो air नहीं होगा, air will come out. Okay, so imagine a condition immediately after rainfall. बारिश के हो जैसे खत्म होता है बारिश, the soil will be saturated with water, all the pores will be filled with water, air will come out. So there it is completely filled with water, no air. After few days of rainfall, when all the water has been evaporated, now all the pores only has air, it has no water, evaporate हो चुका है पूरा. So both the conditions are not ideal. Ideal condition is where both water and air is present in optimum condition, यानी macropores and micropores both are in equal proportion, यानी water air दोनों हैं, because germination of the seed and development of seedling and plants growth require both air and water. Roots को भी oxygen चाहिए, water भी चाहिए, right? So a good seed bed or ideal seed bed is one which has balanced porosity. So जो porosity में macropores and micropores हैं वो बराबर हैं, equal है. That means both air and water is present. The plant will not be able to survive without either of them. So air नहीं है, सिर्फ पूरा waterlogged है, पूरा पानी से भरा हुआ है, तो plant will die. Roots will not be able to perform their function. If soil is totally dry without water, only air है, तो moisture के बिना फिर से wilting हो जाएगा, plant will die. So ideal seed bed is one which has both macropores and micropores in equal proportion. So that is what it meant. Okay, so main purpose of tillage or plowing is to make the soil loose, friable, easily workable. Okay, so that you can easily sow the seeds, and the seeds after sowing they can easily germinate also, and a good crop stand will be established. So that is the meaning of tillage and primary tillage and secondary tillage, and why tillage is done, what are the advantages. All right, so now we have understood tillage. In the next video we will go for modern concept of tillage, that is minimum tillage and zero tillage, which are part of conservation tillage. So हम लोग ये बात डिस्कस करेंगे आगे. Now before going to modern concept of tillage, now what happens after ploughing? So after ploughing the field, will be bare. पूरा फील्ड नंगा होगा, there is no vegetation, because जो भी तुमने प्लविंग किया है, the vegetation has been buried under the soil, so it will start to decompose also. So the soil is bare, soil is loose. That means now the soil can be easily removed by erosion. So अगर बारिश होता है, if there is heavy rainfall immediately after ploughing, before you have sown or even after sowing, sowing के बाद germination होने में time लगता है. So immediately after that, if there is a heavy rainfall, the soil will be already loose. It can be easily removed through erosion. Okay, soil will be bare, open to natural forces. So conventional tillage में एक major disadvantage है that the soil will be prone to erosion. So conservation tillage जो हम लोग बात करते हैं, soil and water को conserve करने की बात कर रहे थे. Conservation tillage is a modern approach where it conserves soil. So we'll discuss that. So we have seen the main disadvantage of your conventional tillage. The soil will be left bare, naked, open to the natural forces. Erosion can easily remove the soil because the soil is already loose, easily वो erode हो सकता है. Okay, now to remove this disadvantage we have your conservation tillage concept. So we'll discuss the modern concept of tillage in the next video. So that will be all for this topic. Thank you very much.